So what I decided to do today is ask Dan to come online and talk to me and explain exactly how he is absolutely crushing it with Amazon and selling physical products on Amazon. So Dan, thank you for taking the time to have a little chat with me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We've got some exciting, interesting things to talk about.
The best way I think to get started, Dan, is because you and I have never really met. I mean, we talked a few minutes right before I started recording here, but I don't really know you that well, and I'm sure a lot of my subscribers may not know you. Even though you have been doing this for a while, you're kind of like a behind-the-scenes guy.
Yeah.
So why don't we start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got started online?
Yeah, you know, I am a behind-the-scenes guy because instead of just spending my time creating PDFs and courses and stuff, I actually do the business. And we're going to talk about Amazon today. I'm going to share with you quickly how I got into this. And just so you know, this is all I do. I mean, literally 99% of my day is devoted to exactly what we're going to be talking about. But here's how it all started. I mean, back, oh gosh, it's hard to remember, 5, 6, 7 years ago, a client approached me and they had a movie that they wanted to sell, and it was called The Secret. And I'm sure a lot of you guys probably heard of that or look it up. It was literally the largest launch that had ever been done to date, and did over $300 million in sales. Came out first as a book, and then later they did a movie. And that was my first experience on Amazon, because initially, you know, I'm a programmer as well, and you know, I set up the site and you know, took care of a lot of that, and we did sell $40 million of that off of the site. But then I put it up on Amazon, and I put it up in a way which was not what most people would think. It wasn't like Amazon came and put the product up, which is the way they usually do it. Instead, I started purchasing from my client. I was working with a partner. I started purchasing these movies in units of 10,000, okay? My partner was putting up the money, and we were buying 10,000 of these videos, and we put them up through the marketplace, or Seller Central, which is what we're going to be talking about. And the thing took off. And the funny thing is you remember back when Steve Jobs held up the very first iPhone, and he's saying, hey, look, let's go to Amazon. It was a radical idea to shop on your phone. He held up the phone, and he's pulling up all the things. The Secret at that point in time was the #3 overall bestseller on Amazon, and that was literally being sold out of my basement. So that was my first experience, and we did a lot of money. But then as the years passed, I began thinking more about how I could do this for myself and replicate that success, and ultimately that's what led to the Amazo X program, which is what we're talking about today. How to put product on Amazon in an unlimited way, where you invest zero money and you have zero risk, and you can make a lot of money in a long time recurring real business.
So this is about selling physical products on Amazon, yes. Selling physical products yourself. Now, the first thing that pops into my mind, and that maybe is popping into some other people's minds as well, is when you had said you were selling The Secret, and incidentally, I think I might be one of the only people in the world that never heard of that book.
You're lucky.
But I did look it up. And you know, you're actually listed in Wikipedia as the web manager for that project. So you know, 100% true. I did the research that we were saying. But anyway, you had said that you know, you were buying in quantities of tens of thousands. So I mean, are people going to need like a ton of money in order to buy inventory and to use the system that you're talking about?
No, and back then, you know, that was the first project that I did on Amazon, and I did say I would buy, but you also you know, I also mentioned that I did it with a partner. In that case, it was my partner that was actually paying the money for these. He had a distributorship, and I was doing all of the marketing. But you know, fast forward to where we're at today, I have perfected this so that, in a nutshell, and we're gonna get into this because you know, I'm pretty transparent. You know, I'm telling you and going to teach you how to figure out products that sell really well on Amazon, and then find somebody that's already got the product, and you jump into the driver's seat and run it up the ranks and optimize that product. And as the money starts flowing in, your client will be providing the product and the inventory, and you'll just be providing all of the expertise to do it. Now, don't freak out and say, oh gosh, yeah, you gotta, you know, have all of these skills and all of that. I'm telling you, anybody can do this. It's like step-by-step process that you go through, and it's surprisingly simple to do. So anybody can do it. I've got lots of students that are already doing it. And here's the good part. You have to work kind of hard for like a couple of months. then it takes on a life of its own, and it's just very light maintenance, and it's recurring, and it doesn't stop because these are real physical products. We're talking potato pillars, for crying out loud, you know, stuff like that that people just buy every day. So it doesn't have a shelf life. I mean, even with the Secret movie, I mean, it went up, we sold a lot, but eventually nobody wanted it anymore. But people are going to want a potato pillar for as long as, you know, you and I are alive. So that's what we're talking about.
Okay, so, you know, I'm going to admit, I actually don't have a lot of experience with selling physical products on Amazon. I've done some niche websites where I was actually an affiliate for Amazon, where I was getting, you know, like a 4 or 5% commission on a niche website. But as far as actually selling stuff myself, I don't have a lot of experience at all. So why don't you just jump right into it? Take us right into the product, explain to us how it works.
Well, let me do this. You know, let me tell you a story, because, you know, sometimes stories kind of stick better. And this is actually what happened to me about a year ago. I was watching Shark Tank. I'm sure a lot of you guys or gals that are watching this have seen the program on TV. And this guy comes out, and you know how it works. You know, they're coming out and they tell the sharks all about their products, and then they hope that the shark will invest some money in there and help them, you know, get this thing out there. Well, this guy comes walking out, and he's got these round sponges, and they have a happy face on them. And I guess what you're supposed to do is stick your spoon in the happy face mouth, and it'll clean. I mean, it was just ridiculous, you know. And I almost turned it off. But, you know, I watched it, and one of the sharks, I think 2 of the sharks invested, you know, a lot of money, probably $500,000, and they jumped into this thing. And I didn't think anything of it. About 6 months later, they had the recap where they brought the sponge guy back on, and lo and behold, they said that of all the products that had ever been on that program, that this sponge had brought in more money. It was the most profitable thing that these sharks had ever done. And I started thinking, holy cow. So I ran over to Amazon. I've been doing this really heavy duty for 2 years now, but I had been doing Amazon for about a year. So I ran over to Amazon and I started typing in keywords like sponge and kitchen sponge and dish sponge. And I'm doing all these searches, and, you know, Ocella sponges are coming up, and Scotch-Brite, and I'm looking at them. And I've got this little tool I use that helps to estimate how much you know, business or revenue is coming in from products. So I pull up like kitchen sponges, and it pulls up 16 products. And I figure out that all of the sponges that are on this first page, those top 16, they're bringing in like somewhere between $10,000 a month up to like $40,000 or $50,000 a month selling sponges. And so put 2 and 2 together, and here's the logic. If these 16 people are selling sponges and bringing in from $10,000 a month to $40,000 or $50,000 a month, if you could find somebody that had a nice sponge and go through a step-by-step process in order to help move that product up the rank, improve the images, improve the copy on the page, if you could, you know, get your product on that first page, then you would be one of the ones that would be bringing in somewhere between $10,000 and $40,000 or $50,000 a month. That's your logic here. So I scurry off, and I start doing searches on Amazon again, but this time I'm not looking for first page sponge sellers. I'm looking for the people who are selling sponges that are at the bottom of the barrel. They don't know what they're doing. They've got a sponge up on Amazon, but it's ranked really low. Maybe they got bad pictures, or the descriptions aren't good, or the bullet points aren't good. I don't know that I'm looking for a failing product, a good product that's failing because the seller doesn't know what they're doing. So I find this one sponge, and looked pretty awful. And the product was good. It had been developed during the Gulf oil crisis, and it would repel water but absorb oil, and they had turned it into a household sponge that they were selling. So I do a little searching. I find out who the company is, and I call them up, and I'm saying, hey, I noticed on Amazon your product is not selling very well. I said, what if I jump in and help improve that situation? Now think about this. From the perspective of the seller, they're thinking, okay, I've been trying to sell on Amazon for a year. We're not selling jack. And this guy comes along and he says that he'll jump in and help improve the situation. Seems like he knows a little bit about Amazon. I wasn't even on the conversation for 10 minutes before they're already saying, yeah, this sounds good. If you want to jump in there, that's fine. And this is not unusual, because if you had a product on Amazon, so let's say you were a company, and you've been trying for months and it wasn't working, and somebody comes along and they say, hey, I can help you. I'll improve this scenario. It's like, what do you have to lose? I don't charge anything for them to do this. I'm only asking to do it with one single product. This company actually has about 30 different sponges. I just wanted one. I jump on board, and here's the end of the story. They went from selling about 1 sponge a day, which is what they were doing when I found them, to now they sell about 30 or 40 a day. And in addition, this is probably the most expensive sponge on Amazon. It sells for $16.75. And when's the last time you went to the grocery store and bought a sponge to clean your dishes and spent $16.75? It's almost funny. But at Amazon, people pay premium prices. It's not eBay, and they will pay a premium price. There are 50,000 prime shoppers on, 50 million prime shoppers on Amazon. They go there, they're looking for a sponge, they click the button, whatever pulls up on the page, they look through it, and if it looks good, they just click the button, buy it, and boom, it's off and shipping. And I get a lion's share, a strong percentage of every single sale that comes in. And I really, at this point, you know, I worked real hard on that project for about 2 or 3 months. I really don't do anything for that particular product anymore. It becomes just a perpetual recurring income. I'm now working on setting up, they have a body sponge. So we're gonna do a body sponge next, and then we're gonna do a baby sponge, and then we're gonna do a bunch of sponges. You know, I'm making more money than what the sharks are, you know, are making. And I didn't have to put in $500,000 in order to get equity in that company.
You know what's really interesting about this is that you said like sponge. I think a lot of people, when they think of like selling online, they think they need to be selling an iPhone, or they need to be selling a laptop or some high-end tech. You know, that actually reminds me, like, I'm a total nerd. Like, I watch Discovery Channel all the time. I watch, you know, Animal Planet all the time, Science Channel, and I'm also an insomniac. So I'm up at like 4 o'clock in the morning with absolutely nothing to do in the world but watch like the Discovery Channel. And I was watching this like home and garden show one time. And they're like showing all these like nice houses with nice gardens and stuff. And they come to this one house, and it's just this massive mansion. You know, it's just got this huge, because it's a beautiful home. It's one of the most beautiful homes I've ever seen. And, you know, you're thinking like, what's this guy got to do for a living? It turns out he owns a toothpick company.
Well, that's what's so beautiful about this. It's like, you're not looking for something that's like a new breakthrough product. You're looking for just something very common. If you look around your house, there are probably 1,000 products that you could be selling. And I promise you, there are 1 million people out there who already have the product, and they need help. And there aren't people out there offering them help. Well, I'm the only person that is doing this in a serious way at all.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you know, laptops and tech and stuff like that, and, you know, 50-inch, you know, monitors and stuff, they're all glamorous. And sponges aren't glamorous. But you know what? People buy a lot more sponges every year than they buy laptops, right? I bought one laptop 3 years ago. I buy a sponge every week when I go grocery shopping, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I got this. I don't know if you can. Here, I'll try to pull this up and show you this thing. This is a product. Let me see if I can show you. This is a product here. I don't know if you can see it. You probably look at that and you go, "What the hell is that?" Okay, I dropped it. Okay, but anyway, this product, okay, basically is an avocado scooper. You know how you cut an avocado in half, you know, and then you take this little thing and you scoop the meat out of this thing? These things sell about $20,000 worth a month on Amazon. All right. So I find this guy, he's got a garage full of these. You know, he came up with the idea. He's a real estate agent. He came up with the idea, and he had them made, and couldn't sell them. And he's been going around to Whole Foods and whatever, and demoing these things and trying to sell them. And so I actually met him at Whole Foods. And I said, wow, that's pretty cool. I said, where do you sell these things? He says, well, you know, I try to sell them here, and you know, it's been pretty hard. And I said, well, why don't I go to Amazon, and I'm going to do a little research and see if anybody else is selling something like this. Because if anybody else is selling anything like this, that's good. Because I want to see if they're doing it, then all I got to do is get yours up there in that same ballpark, and we'll be in business. So he's got a garage full of these things, you know, and they're on their way into Amazon right now. We just got the page set up, and you know, I don't have any idea what I'll be making on this, but I imagine at least, you know, $3,000 a month, you know, be my share. And hey, it's all in a day's work. You know, this will take me. You know, here's what I got to do. I got to take some real good pictures of this. And if I'm not good at pictures, I'll just outsource it. And if it costs anything, he's going to pay for it. The client pays for everything. All right. So we'll get some nice pictures up. And then I got to have a title. You know, you pepper some keywords in the title. You got to have some bullet points. You know, your client's going to have all this information, but you just, you know, word it real well and put some keywords in there and a description. That's it. There's nothing else left to do. And then you go through some steps. I show you how to do it in order to increase the likelihood that it's going to move up the ranks. And I look at it as like putting a puzzle together. It's as if though somebody, your client, has all the pieces of the puzzle on the table, but they just don't have the time or the know-how to put it together. So they've got a good picture. And I just put the pieces together, and boom, we start selling things. You get your cut, and then you can move on and do either another client or another product. There is absolutely zero limit. This is unlimited if you jump in and do it.
A couple of quick questions about this. I really think it's an interesting business model, but a couple of things do pop out in my mind when we're talking here. The first thing is contracts. Like, do you sign a contract with these people? How does that work? Like, do you actually, like, if somebody wants to do this, do I have to like meet these people and have a meeting with my lawyer and their lawyer and get a contract set out? How do I ensure I'm getting paid, they're getting paid? How does all that work?
Yeah, boy, if I had to meet with them, I'd never do any business. I haven't met any of my clients. I talk to them on either Skype, preferably on Skype, or sometimes the telephone. And that's it. And as far as contracts, you know, I don't use a formal contract. I have a kind of a working agreement that lays out what I do, what I expect them to do, and how the money's going to get divvied up. And I just email it to them and have them confirm back. The reality is that if you pick your clients and products well, and I teach this in my training, you're not going to have any problems, because as long as money's coming in and you're doing what you need to do and they're doing what they need to do, this is a good thing for everybody. I think this is more like throwing somebody a lifeline. You know, it's like you're finding somebody that's drowning and you're throwing them a rope and offering to save them. And so it's not sales, and it's not a bunch of legal stuff. I do it in a pretty casual way, and you know, I've never had any trouble with any client yet. And of all the students I've taught, I haven't heard one case of having any challenge or trouble with a client. Now, that doesn't mean that every product's going to be a home run. Sometimes you'll get a product and maybe miscalculate, or maybe it doesn't work out and it doesn't do as well. But let me explain a bad product on Amazon, because that's interesting. A bad product would be one that sold maybe 5 a day. So what if you're making $3 on each one? You know, you're making 15 bucks a day for pretty much nothing, and that's a failure. So it's not like you can lose money. It's not like you're going to make no money, but you might have one that just doesn't turn into a $10,000 a month scenario.
Well, the $15 a day failure would buy me a new Harley, so that would pay my payment and my insurance every month.
Well, I can't tell you how many products I have that sell 10 a day, where I'm making maybe $8. On each one of them. You know, I've got a lot of those, and quite honestly, I like those better. Now, I have some that sell 100 a day, and I have some that are at higher prices and whatever, and those are certainly juicy. But I could be very happy just doing a whole bunch of products where I'm making $8, $10 a day, and just keep doing it, because it doesn't matter if the product flops. You lose nothing. You don't lose any money. You know, there's a little effort or time in here, but it always seems like there's some money in every single product. And especially if you go through my program and I show you what to look for, and you look for certain kinds of products and certain kinds of clients. And if you do that, hey, you're in business, and just do it over and over. That's it.
Well, it seems to me even having like a whole bunch of products that sell, maybe smaller units is a little bit better, because you're more diversified as well.
True, but over time, I recommend that you do a single product at a time. There are, Amazon's not complicated, and none of the strategies I teach are complicated, but there are many steps. So if you're looking for a program where there's 3 steps, and this is not it. There may be 40 steps. And in fact, there's a software program that will be available as well. And that actually lays out every single step that you got to do, every step that your client needs to do. And it makes it very clear. And by using the software, it will make you appear to your client to be brilliant. They'll go, oh, geez, this guy knows, the first step, second step, third step, and you just walk them through the process. So like step 1, I mean, this is how simple it can be. Step 1, write a title that's got some relevant keywords in it. It's got to be 200 characters, and if you can't do it, go find somebody on Elance. But I mean, you just write a title, So you put something like avocado slicer peeler, and this also does mangoes, and you just, squeeze in a bunch of stuff for the title. That's one step. Next step is write a bullet point. You know, those are the kind of steps that we're talking about. So it's not a complicated thing where you got to learn programming or anything like that. And anything that you feel you can't do, you just outsource it to Fiverr or partner up with somebody that has those skills, and then you can do this.
So what do people get with this purchase? So they're going to buy the Amazo X, product. What exactly do they get with it?
The first thing they get is training. It will detail, there are 5 videos that I've prepared, and I do extremely robust videos, both visually and the content. And you will literally get in these 5 trainings every single thing that you need in order to go out and do this. Yes, there are other things that you could add on to this later if you wanted to, but I do want you to know that there aren't any tricks here. You will have all the information necessary just in this little inexpensive first step of a program, all right? Now, as you go through the first 5 trainings, you'll start thinking, whoa, could I ever ramp this up? And could I make this easier if I had a little extra software tool or this or that? And so there are some other things that you could add on, but here's where it gets really interesting. 100% of all of the software that I use, my clients pay for. So when I say I don't spend any money, I am not, joking. I mean, the only money I spent was to, set up my corporation so that I have my own entity, But other than that, the client does pay for everything. Now, you may be thinking, well, why would they do that, Dan? That just sounds crazy. That's what they were doing anyway. If they were upselling on Amazon on their own, they had to pay for their own advertisement. They had to pay for their Seller Central account to Amazon. If they needed a software tool, they'd have to pay for it. So nothing changes there. I'm just coming in and putting the pieces together for them. They still pay for everything just as if though it was their own deal, because it is their own deal. I'm just coming in and steering the ship better than they knew how to do.
So whose Amazon account do you use? Like if I had this awesome pen here that I want you to sell for me, just because I happen to have a pen in my hand right now. So I've got
pens are good.
I've got a basement full of these awesome pens, right? You're going to sell this for me. You're going to hook me up. Do you use my Amazon account? Do I use your Amazon account? How do we do this?
Yeah, I do not personally have an Amazon account, and I don't ever plan to get one. I always use my client's account. If they don't have one, I step them through the process to set it up. It's not a big deal, name of your business and your phone number and all that stuff. So you always do it in your client's account. And so that's it. And here's how you get paid. This is a big question. Okay, Dan, sounds great, but how do I actually get my money?
That's what I was getting to.
That's the part I'm interested in too. Well, when Amazon pays your client, you have the exact same access to the client's account as they do. All right, so you just look in the account to see what check Amazon just sent your client, and then you invoice your client for a percentage. Now, I get 25% of whatever Amazon mails to my client, and my client gets 75%, but my client has to pay for all the expenses and the inventory and everything. If you really do the math, I'm really getting about 50% of the net profits. But the way we calculate it is that's it. And we invoice them, and you get paid on a monthly basis.
That's actually a pretty big cut when you think about it. 25% is nice. You're getting a nice chunk of the money.
But think about this. You got those pins there. You've been trying to sell them on Amazon, and they're not selling. And and you're thinking, wow, man, I'd sure like to get my car back in the garage, but I got all these boxes of pins out there. And I come along and I'm saying, well, look, it looks like you're getting 100% of nothing right now. And I'll come in and we can sell these things, and you just pay me 25%. You would jump at it.
Did you ever see The Hustler? Paul Newman, the old white hustler, where he said to the guy, he's like, I'd rather have a little slice of something big than a big slice of nothing.
That's correct.
That's exactly what it is, yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And when you think about the fact that on Amazon, roughly 40% of all of the products that are sold on Amazon are coming from just mom and pop sellers and various vendors who are setting up shop on Amazon. That's 40% of the business. And by the way, just last week, news release came out. Amazon is now the biggest e-commerce, and even though they're not an awful lot in business, they're bigger than Walmart now. So why not hook your cart to the freaking biggest e-commerce platform on the planet and figure out how to make money there? Here's what excites me. In fact, the very first video that you guys get is called the Prime Air Millionaire. That's the name of the first video. Now, the reason I called it that is because Amazon now is experimenting with drones. And they're going to call it the Prime Air delivery system. You go to Amazon Prime. And so I'm thinking, well, hell, why not, go ahead and start getting all of your products up on Amazon, because within about 2 years, there's going to be little drones flying around dropping off packages, and I want a lot of them to be mine, with my clients, So we'll deliver your pins to anybody on the planet, and we'll put it on a drone. I mean, this sounds futuristic, but Amazon already has the technology perfected. They're just waiting for the United States government to approve, or whoever.
I read about the drone thing a while ago, and you're right. Stuff like that sounds futuristic, but you know what? If I went back in time, 30 years ago, and I told everybody I'd have the world's knowledge in my pocket,
no.
Right?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too, is that we're talking about an international opportunity here. I don't sell just in the U.S. That's where a lot of the business is. But it doesn't matter where you live. You can do this in any country. You could be in the U.K. and be working with a client that's in the U.S. Or vice versa. It really doesn't matter. And as far as drones go, they are already testing the drones in other countries. The U.S. has been a little slower than whatever. So it is a reality, and I would say within 2 years. But it's just a fun way to think about something. I would much rather be, on vacation or sleeping or whatever, and having drones delivering, my pins or my product out there, than to, constantly be trying to figure out how to make money online. I have done everything I can think of online, and I've done well over the years. But ask yourself this: why do I only do this now? I don't do anything else. And you could go and look on the sales page. I think it's up there. There are 8 case studies that are screenshots from some of my clients. And those 8 case studies are a total of almost 400,000 in business. Not a year, 400,000 in business every single month. And that's only a small percentage. 8 of my clients, I have over 21 right now.
Well, Dan, I just want you to know that if one of these days, a year from now, I'm walking down the street and I get hit on the head with an avocado, I'm coming after you, buddy, okay?
You do that.
But no, seriously, I like what you're doing. I like the concept. I like that. It never even occurred to me that, like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with selling physical products on Amazon. And I had always just thought, like I had said before, that, oh, if I wanted to sell stuff, I'd have to sell high-end stuff. I'd have to get it myself. It never even occurred to me that it just makes sense to sell the common things that everybody needs anyway. And as a matter of fact, I bought this mic from Amazon, and it's so easy to buy on Amazon because they save my credit card. I just look for what I want, I press the buy button. Next thing I know, I'm getting it.
Yeah, they are the most trusted entity out there, and everybody wants. Here's the great thing: people think you got to be a salesperson and be able to convince a person to do this. As soon as you ask somebody, let's say. You want to, in fact, let me tell you this little story. It'll illustrate it. There's a school here in my community. It's a charter school. They're part public and part private. They looked me up in the phone book, and they called me up one day because they heard I was a marketer. And they said, we're thinking of doing a fundraiser right here in my hometown. And we thought maybe you could give us some tips. And I'm thinking, gosh, I don't know anything about fundraising. I said, but I got an idea. Why don't you guys put a product up on Amazon, and you could just sell the product year round? And they go, wow, yeah. And I'm thinking, I didn't even know if a school could invest in a product. Well, they had private funds. And they said, yeah, we could do that. Now, in this case, it's a little different than what we've talked about up to this point. In this case, I've got a school that has an audience. They have the teachers and the students and the parents and the grandparents and the community who are all very interested in this school, being successful. But they don't have a product. So I said, well, why don't you toss around some ideas? And so they did, and they talked to the teachers and whatever, and they came back and they said, Dan, we think we could sell coffee. Well, yeah, okay, that's good. Coffee, everybody likes coffee. And so, I just searched around on the internet. I found a place that sold coffee at wholesale. And I get back with the school and I say, hey, you can buy 1,000 pounds of this coffee for $8,000. And they go, okay, we'll buy 1,000 pounds of coffee. And I'm thinking, this is great. So I create, a little label that goes on the bag. And if you don't know how to do that, don't worry, you outsource it, They're going to pay for it anyway. So I put a little label on it. It's called Good Coffee for a Good Cause. You can go to Amazon and you can find it. It's called Good Coffee for a Good Cause. And literally, they are now selling coffee on Amazon. And here's the benefit is that if they did a fundraiser locally, it would be short term. and it would only sell to people that know are related to the school. But by doing it on Amazon, it opens it up to 50 million prime shoppers. And so it allows organizations to be able to bring in money that they've never thought about. I mean, you've got a school in your area. There are charitable organizations and churches. They're all trying to figure out how to make money. They could put a product up on Amazon and they will pay for it, because if they do any kind of fundraiser, they'd be doing that anyway. So this makes eminent sense, and there are multiple ways in which you guys could do it.
Well, yeah, because even people that don't necessarily want to help the school, in that case, they might just want the coffee, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, when you go on, you see it on Amazon, you think, oh, good coffee for a good cause, I'll try it. You click the button and the coffee comes, and as long as it's good, you could probably have a lifetime customer who just keeps going to Amazon and buying this coffee, and it's got a feel-good feeling because you feel like you're helping some school kids, and it's a good thing. So I like this business because I make a lot of money. But I also have helped a lot of people, change their business, and in this case, help school kids. So this could be done. I'm sure that this is the only school in the world that's doing this. So that means there's a lot of schools out there that could opportunity.
Let's say I pick up your training. I'm a customer. I'm going to come in. I'm going to pick up your training right after it launches. Now, you said I don't need any money to get started. Obviously, I'm going to have to do a little bit of work, but that's okay, because you are teaching people how to run a business here. You're not teaching them a get-rich-quick scheme, which is something I like. So they're going to have to do a little bit of work, but how quickly can they expect to have something going,
It takes about 3 months. So this is not get-rich-quick. The first month will be you kind of learning the ropes, going through the training and whatever, and thinking about which way you want to do it. Your second month, you'll start asking a few clients. You'll probably get a yes a lot sooner than you think. And then once they say yes, you're going to be jumping around the room, and then all of a sudden you're going to go, wait, I got to do something. And so that's where the software program that I have is available, and very inexpensive, but that will hold your hand and walk you through every single step. And so there's about a 30-day period for what I call onboarding the client or the product and doing a product launch, which would occur in your third month. And once you do your product launch, that's what helps to move the product up the ranks at Amazon. And I show you exactly how to do this. And that's it. So it's like, in that third month is when things can start to happen. And so if you need to make money faster, hey, tell me how you do it, because this is pretty darn quick. And I've tried everything else, and at least this, when it starts coming, it doesn't stop.
Well, no, I actually like that you're teaching a real business. Even like I have an online business, obviously, but I have brick and mortar business as well. I have a couple of different ones. So I like business. I like the fact of building an actual business. I mean, if I tell people, look, if you need to make, $100 by tomorrow, go to a temp company or a Workaday or something, or business, that's a different thing.
Or purse snatching or something quick.
There you go, snatch a purse with an avocado peeler, right?
That's right.
And a pen. But now, okay, so is this something that people can do part-time? Because a lot of people are going to have jobs. They're going to have, other responsibilities. Is this something that they can do, or do they need to devote themselves full-time, 10 hours a day? Can they do it part-time?
No, it definitely is part-time, because there's not a lot to do. The process kind of seems to go slow because there's, you have to find your client, then they have to ship the product into Amazon. Sometimes it's already there. You tweak the page. I mean, this is stuff that you could do in a half hour or an hour a day, and not even every day for one product. I do recommend, when you first go through the program, pick an easy client. Maybe a local business owner or somebody that's not a big corporation, just a mom and pop that have a nice product, where there's low pressure, low expectations, and just go through the process. And once you've gone through it one time, even if you only end up making $15 a day, at that point, it's Katie bar the door, because you'll say, I got it. I can now go and do another client that's got an even more product with more potential. And I can just keep doing this over and over. Here's also, remember, sometimes you can land one client, you're set for life, because clients often have more than one product. That sponge company, they had 30 sponges on Amazon when I first found them. I said, get rid of all those things. You need like a PhD in sponges to even know which one to buy. And they said, well, wait. And I said, well, you're not selling any of them. Get rid of them all. So now they only sell 2 sponges, one with soap and one without soap, and they sell 30 or 40 a day. Before they had 30 sponges and they were selling 1 a day. It was confusing. So you do 1 product at a time, you get it up to where it's making some money, and then you go to your client and you say, hey, got anything else? And often they will. And so you can just do the 2nd product and the 3rd product. So it's up to you. You can do multiple products with a single client, or you can do multiple clients, whatever you want to do. Eventually it could lead to full-time, but you'll never actually do full-time work because there's just a lot of downtime. And once you've got this up and running, it's just maintenance. There's not anything to do after after the 3rd month. There's nothing left to do other than just make sure that there's inventory there. That's really it.
All right, well, that actually sounds pretty good, because I know a lot of people, like I said, they're gonna be worried, like, do I have to quit my job to start my, like, if you're gonna start a restaurant, you're not gonna work at your job too. You're gonna be in your restaurant all day. But this is something that people can do on the side, something they can build up. As a matter of fact, you actually suggest that they learn to walk before they learn to fly, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And
so, finishing up, I won't keep you too much longer, but real quick, do you have any other suggestion that you would recommend to people? Any closing words? Do you want to say anything that we missed?
Yeah, here's the one thing that's going to keep you from benefiting from this program. You can go and look in the mirror, and if you see yourself, you're your worst enemy. I'm finding that people get excited about this, and they say, gosh, I could do this. And then all of a sudden, they get into the training, and they start talking themselves out of it. Here's the secret to solving that. As soon as you get to any part of this program where you're thinking, I like this idea, but I don't want to do that one thing, you need to go and partner up rather than give up. That's what I did too. There's a part of this business I don't like. And for me, it's dealing with spreadsheets and the financials and all of that. I hate that. I like doing the titles and the pictures and stuff. That's what I like. So I just went out and found somebody that loves spreadsheets, and I said, hey, let's just do a partner. We'll do all of this stuff on Amazon. And so I have many, many different partnerships depending on the product and also what I like to do. So if you start this and you get to a point where there's something you don't like, don't give up, just find a partner. There's too much opportunity, there's too much money, it is unlimited. Right now, no one else is doing this out there. And even if they were, there's just too much opportunity. The only thing that'll keep you from doing it is yourself, and solve the problem by teaming up. There's lots of people you could team up with to make this work, and then you could go out as a pair and find clients and bring them on board, and boom, you've got a real long-term business.
You know what, I think what you said there is really a big thing. You said the only thing that stops people is themselves. And I've said this so many times. There's one difference between people who make money online and people who don't make money online. Everybody seems to think that the people that make money online know some kind of secret or some kind of trick, or they're smarter than you. The difference is they took action. They actually worked and took action. I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, it is. Hey, let me show you something real quick before you go. This is a new product that I just put up, and it's a wine glass. There's this guy down in Texas, and he came up with this idea, pretty simple idea, an elegant wine glass. He puts a soy-based wax in. Here's a candle, and he puts it in this beautiful box, a really pretty box. You can see that here. And you got this incredible product. Now, this sells for $29.95 on Amazon. It just went up like in the last week. And I'll probably make, I'd guess probably $10,000, $15,000 a month off of this product right here.
Really?
And yeah, and it's just like, especially around Christmas time and Valentine's, time, this is just a really nice gift. And I wish you could smell it. It smells like a licorice or anise. It's just great. But these kinds of products are everywhere. The products, the planet is full of products. Everybody wants to be on Amazon, and nobody knows how to do it. That to me, that's find a niche and fill it. That's what it is.
Nice. It's a fantastic way to close. So I'll go ahead and finish up. I won't keep you any longer now. After we get done recording here, I'm going to hit you up for review access so I can go ahead and review it. But thank you for taking the time to talk with me. I really appreciate it. You have a great day.
Thanks, guys.